In the quiet of her San Francisco apartment, Emma Thompson stared at the brass urn on the mantel, the last physical piece of Sophia she had left. The funeral had ended only hours ago, the words of the eulogy still ringing in her ears like distant thunder. She hadn't cried then, not in front of everyone, but now, alone except for Bailey the golden retriever who pressed his warm body against her leg, the tears came hot and silent. The knock at the door was sharp, insistent, pulling her from the fog. Bailey barked once, low and protective. Emma wiped her face and opened it to find Maria Ramirez, Sophia's mother, standing there with Carlos and Isabella flanking her. Their faces were masks of grief mixed with something harder, something accusatory. "We're here for Bailey," Maria said without preamble, her voice steady but edged. "Sophia always said if anything happened to her, he should come back to the family." Emma's stomach dropped. She knew this was coming. The family who had barely spoken to Sophia in the last decade, who had called their marriage an abomination, now showing up like vultures the day after the burial. She stepped back, letting them in reluctantly, Bailey staying glued to her side. The living room still smelled faintly of Sophia's lavender shampoo. Photos of the two of them lined the shelves. Their wedding day in a small garden in Portland, arms around each other laughing. A trip to Yosemite with Bailey as a puppy tumbling between them. Last Christmas, Sophia kissing Emma's cheek while Bailey wore reindeer antlers. Maria's eyes flicked over the pictures, her mouth tightening. "We have a letter," she said, pulling an envelope from her purse. "From 7 years ago before all this. Sophia wrote that Bailey belonged with us if she couldn't keep him." Emma took the paper with shaking hands. The handwriting was unmistakably Sophia's, younger, more rounded. "If anything ever happens to me, please make sure Bailey goes to Mom and the family. He's part of our childhood." The date was right after Sophia's father died, when the family was still pretending Emma didn't exist. "That was before we were married," Emma said quietly. "Before she updated everything." Carlos crossed his arms. "Blood is blood, Emma. You two played house, but Bailey was ours first." Isabella stayed silent, eyes on the floor, but Emma saw the flicker of discomfort. She had always been the quiet one, the one who sent secret birthday texts to Sophia even after the family cut ties. Emma felt the old anger rise, the same anger that had burned when Sophia's parents refused to attend the wedding, when they told Sophia she was going to hell, when they tried to send her to that retreat in Arizona that was really conversion therapy. "Get out," Emma said, voice low. "The will is clear. Sophia left everything to me. Bailey stays." Maria's face hardened. "We'll see about that. Courts have overturned stranger wills before." They left, the door clicking shut like a period at the end of a sentence Emma wasn't ready to accept. That night she sat on the floor with Bailey's head in her lap, replaying the day she and Sophia met. It had been raining in Portland, both of them reaching for the last dry seat at a cafe. Sophia had smiled first, that crooked half-smile that always made Emma's chest tighten. "Guess we're sharing," she'd said, and that was it. 10 years of building a life the world kept trying to tear down. Now the world, or at least Sophia's corner of it, was coming for the last piece that still felt like home. Emma didn't sleep. She kept thinking about the letter, about the woman who wrote it versus the woman who had rewritten her will 3 years ago, after another brutal family fight. The woman who had looked at Emma across the kitchen table and said, "You're my family now. Everything I have is yours." Bailey whined softly, sensing her restlessness. Emma buried her face in his fur and whispered, "I'm not giving you up. I can't." But in the dark, the question already gnawed at her. How far was she willing to go to keep the promise she made to a dead woman? The lawyer's office smelled like old paper and fresh coffee. Mr. Patel slid the will across the desk and tapped the signature line. "It's ironclad, Emma. Sophia was of sound mind, the witnesses are solid, and California recognizes your marriage. They can try to contest it, but they'll lose." Emma nodded, but the relief felt hollow. She had spent the last 3 days fielding calls from Maria, from Carlos, even from a cousin she had never met. They were gathering statements, old texts, anything that painted Sophia as conflicted, pressured, maybe even coerced into leaving everything to that woman. Bailey lay under the desk, chin on his paws, as if he understood the stakes. That afternoon her phone buzzed with a text from Lena, her closest friend since college. Hey, just heard from Isabella. They're really torn up. Maybe think about giving them Bailey? It might bring some peace. Emma stared at the screen until it went black. Lena had been at the wedding. She had cried during the vows. Now she was playing both sides. The betrayal stung more than she expected. She typed back, "Peace for who?" and didn't wait for a reply. Memories kept ambushing her. Sophia teaching Bailey to fetch at Chrissy Field. Both of them soaked and laughing when he jumped into the bay. Sophia whispering, "I love our little family," at night while Bailey snored at the foot of the bed. The way Sophia's face lit up every single time she came home and Bailey launched himself at her like she'd been gone for years instead of 8 hours. Giving him up would be like amputating the last living proof that their life together had been real. But the threats kept coming. Carlos mentioned a family friend who was a judge. Maria hinted at dragging Sophia's name through the tabloids. Deviant lifestyle. Influenced by a predator. Emma knew it was bullshit, but the thought of strangers picking apart their love made her physically ill. She found herself bargaining in the shower, whispering deals to a god she wasn't sure she believed in anymore. Let me keep him and I'll be good. I'll go to therapy. I'll never date again. Just let me keep this one piece of her. On the 4th day after the funeral, Maria showed up alone. No Carlos, no Isabella. Just Maria on the doorstep with a bakery box of Sophia's favorite conchas. I brought these for you, she said, voice softer than before. She loved them, remember? Emma let her in because exhaustion had worn her down to the bone. They sat at the kitchen table. Bailey rested his head on Maria's knee, the traitor, and Maria's hand trembled as she stroked his ears. He looks just like the puppy we got when Sophia was 10, Maria murmured. Same eyes. Emma's throat closed. She told me that story. How you let her name him after her favorite book character. Maria nodded. She was always the soft one. Too soft for this world. The silence stretched until Maria spoke again. We're not monsters, Emma. We loved her. We wanted her to be happy the way we understood happy. And threatening to take the last thing that makes me feel close to her is how you show love? Maria's eyes filled. Maybe we're both trying to hold on to her the only way we know how. When Maria left, she didn't mention the dog again. But the next morning a process server knocked with papers. A petition to invalidate parts of the will on grounds of undue influence. Emma sat on the couch with Bailey and cried until she had nothing left. She thought about calling Lena back, about maybe offering visitation rights, about anything that would make the ache stop. Instead she opened her laptop and started researching how much it would cost to fight. The number made her dizzy. That night she pulled out the box of Sophia's old journals she had been too raw to touch. She flipped through pages of Sophia's neat handwriting. Looking for strength, looking for a sign. She didn't find the letter yet. But she found something else. A pressed flower from their first anniversary, and a note in the margin. No matter what they say, you are my home. Bailey curled up beside her, and for the first time in days Emma slept without dreams. The letter was inside Bailey's old collar, the one Sophia had bought him the week they moved to San Francisco. Emma had been sorting through the closet, looking for anything that might help her case, when her fingers brushed the worn leather. Something crackled inside the lining. She sat on the bedroom floor and carefully unpicked the stitches. A single sheet of paper folded small, sealed with tape that had yellowed. Sophia's handwriting dated 2 years ago, after the worst fight with her family yet. Emma read it once, then again, then a third time until the words blurred. It wasn't a will. It was a confession. Sophia had written everything. The night her father slapped her for holding Emma's hand at a family dinner. The months her mother refused to speak to her. The vacation to Arizona that was actually a conversion therapy program where they made her pray for hours and watch videos of lesbians dying of AIDS. The emails from Carlos threatening to out her at work if she didn't come to her senses. The way they had all signed a letter disowning her the week before the wedding. And at the bottom in firmer ink, if they ever tried to take anything from the life I built with Emma, including Bailey, give this to the press, to my old therapist, to anyone who will listen. I kept the emails. I kept the receipts from the camp. I kept everything because I knew one day they might try to erase me again. I won't let them erase her. Emma's hand shook so hard the paper rattled. Bailey whined and licked her wrist, sensing the shift in the air. This was the nuclear option Sophia had prepared in secret, never telling Emma because she hoped it would never be needed. A final act of protection from beyond the grave. Emma thought about burning it. Thought about keeping it forever as proof that their love had been worth every scar. Thought about how using it would drag Sophia's worst memories into the light for strangers to gawk at. But then she remembered Maria's hand on Bailey's head, the conscience on the table, the way they still saw her as the villain who stole their daughter. She folded the letter carefully and put it back inside the collar for now. The next day she called the lawyer. "I have new evidence," she said. "Not for court. For them." They met at a neutral cafe near the Embarcadero. Neutral ground, Emma had insisted. Maria, Carlos, and Isabella arrived together, faces drawn. Emma carried only an envelope and Bailey's leash. She didn't sit. She placed the envelope on the table between them. "This is from Sophia," she said. "She wrote it 2 years ago and hid it where she knew I'd find it if you ever came for Bailey." Maria reached for it, but Emma pulled it back. "Before you read it, you need to understand. If you keep pushing, if you keep threatening to take him, I will make sure every word in here becomes public. The emails, the camp receipts, the photos she kept of her bruises. All of it." Carlos's face went pale. Isabella covered her mouth. Maria whispered, "What is it?" Emma told them. Not every detail, just enough. Enough to watch the color drain from their faces. Enough to see Carlos's shoulders slump like someone had punched him in the chest. When she finished, the table was silent except for the clink of cups at the counter. Maria spoke first, voice cracking. "She never told us it was that bad." "She tried," Emma said. "You just didn't want to hear it." Isabella was crying quietly. "We thought we were saving her." "You were destroying her," Emma said, and the words tasted like ash. "And now you're trying to destroy what's left of her by taking the one thing she loved more than anything except me." Carlos cleared his throat. We didn't know." "You knew enough," Emma said. "You just chose not to care." Maria looked at Bailey, who sat calmly at Emma's feet, oblivious to the earthquake happening above him. "We'll drop it," Maria said finally. "The petition. Everything. Just keep the letter between us." Emma nodded once. "That's the deal." They left without finishing their coffee. Emma watched them go, 3 people who had lost a daughter twice. Once when she chose Emma, once when she died. And now a 3rd time when the truth finally caught up with them. She felt no triumph. Only exhaustion and a strange, hollow kind of grief for the family Sophia had once hoped might change. 6 months later, Emma still kept the letter in the box with Sophia's ashes. She never looked at it again. But she knew it was there like a loaded gun she had chosen not to fire completely. Bailey was thriving. He had a new bandana that said Sophia's boy, in tiny stitching only Emma could see. They walked the same routes they used to walk together. And sometimes Emma talked to the empty space beside her like Sophia was still there, rolling her eyes at Emma's terrible jokes. Lena apologized eventually. They were rebuilding slowly. Maria sent a Christmas card with no return address. Just a photo of the old family dog that had been Bailey's predecessor. Emma didn't reply, but she didn't throw it away either. Some nights the anger still came, hot and sudden. Some nights the missing was so sharp she couldn't breathe. But every morning Bailey woke her with cold nose and wagging tail, and she remembered why she had fought so hard. Sophia's secret had saved them, but it had also cost something intangible. Emma would never again be able to pretend the family had simply been misguided. She would never again be able to believe that love always wins without leaving scars. She kept living anyway. She planted lavender in the window box because Sophia loved the smell. She donated to the LGBT Youth Center in Sophia's name. She let Bailey sleep on the bed even though he shed everywhere. One evening she stood on the balcony watching the fog roll in over the bay, Bailey leaning against her leg. She thought about the question that had haunted her since the cafe. Was it right to use Sophia's most painful secret as a shield? Or did doing so betray the very love she was trying to protect? She still didn't have an answer. But she knew this: Bailey was home. And home for now was enough. Was Emma right to weaponize Sophia's pain to keep Bailey? Or did that final act of protection come at too high a moral cost?